to the Writers Conference 2025. Trust me, we are just getting started. So let's go.
AYIMOM Hope Moses is a creative
Good evening, everyone.
I'm greeting and of course, good evening, man.
It's nice being with us
Good evening,
today.
ma'am.
I don't know if I should introduce myself again, but my name is AYIMOM Hope Moses, and I'm glad to be here in your midst today as one of our speakers. Who is excited? All right,
Everybody will.
today we'll be speaking on non-fictional and impactful writing. The power of words. So, sir, some slides are in your DM. I would like you to post it along so that people can follow up. Before then, since we have prayed, it is good to start because time is not by our side anymore. So, today's topic is non fictional and impactful writing, the power of words. Before we move on, non-fictional writing involves writing based on facts, realistic life experiences, and events. Impactful writing involves writing that inspires people, that bring about a change of mindset in your readers. Words have the power to inspire, to persuade, to discourage, and to transform your readers. Therefore, as creative writers, we have that power in the tip of our fingers to use it the way we like. We'll be moving to the first segment of today's discussion, which is writing personal essays and memos. Personal essays and memos involves
The stuff is not on mute. So,
Personal essay and memos involves writing based on real life situations that happened to the author, events, past memories, and the likes. So there are steps to crafting an amazing memo that balances creativity and yet truth. Yeah, that means you don't bend your storyline, you don't falsify an event, but it is creative that it captivates your readers. We'll be diving into those steps. And the first step is starting with a hook. A hook is a compelling opening statement. Example, this was the night that changed my life. Your readers will be left to wonder what happened that night. Was she raped? Maybe was her life changed for the negative, or she met a destiny helper that changed her life. It will captivate your readers and make them willing to know the mystery behind the first statement. Therefore, they will be a step ahead of you, thinking of possible things Therefore, when you unveil it, it becomes exciting and it keeps your readers active. Secondly, show, don't tell. A vital rule of creativity, as our last speaker talked about, is showing your readers what happened and not just telling them what happened. Describe the scenario in to an extent that they could literally picture and feel that feeling that you want to pass across. This is possible using sensory details, imagery, dialogue, language features like descriptions. Example, if you are to describe a quiet atmosphere where danger seemed to be looming, you can say it was a dark night. All I could hear were whispers of crickets and the sound of leaves touching each other. It made me so scared that the hair in my skin stood up. At that point, it has created an atmosphere of tension even in your readers. They now picture the scenario and imagine if they were there. That makes your work creative and makes your readers so attentive, grabbed, and it makes your whole work exciting. Thirdly, don't lose focus. This involves, while it's good to narrate and give imagery, make it so detailed that it captivates your readers, do not give idle messages that don't add up to your storyline. Don't give idle details that in no way spice up your story. Example, if your story involved you were coming back, you were so reckless, and on your way coming back, you saw an age mate of yours that had accident and died at the spot. It made you thought about your life and chose to change. At that point, you can put the accident story because it's a main feature or main ingredient in your narration. But when you are narrating and that accident has nothing to do with your story, your life, how you changed for good, don't give us that detail because it bore your readers, it makes them tired of imagining stuff. Lastly, here, always be authentic. Sometimes it's easy to narrate the nice part where you were so good and you leave the part where you made an error, where you were stubborn and you had to face the consequence. That bad side of the story, put it also. It makes your writing, because memo writing is based on things that actually happened. When you skip that bad part or the part that is not good to the ears, it makes your writing seem scripted. It makes it not authentic. But when you involve everything as it was, it makes your writing relatable and realistic to your audience, because your readers or your audience, because they'll be like, yeah, I can relate. I remember that day that I was stubborn and I had to pay for it dearly. You get. We'll be moving to the second part of today's program, but before then, I would like to see our interaction and hear one contribution from any of us. If we're active, can I see a thumbs up? Yeah, moving on. Moving on, the next segment we'll be talking about is persuasive writing. But before then, I would like to tell us about a book that it will be, as memo writers, you should know about the book or maybe search about the book. The Art of Memo by Mary Carr. The book offers key elements on writing creative and captivating memo that balances truth and artistry. There are some key principles from the book that guides memo writers on how to craft out a perfect memo. We are moving to persuasive writing. Persuasive writing involves writing to derive a change in your readers, to make them understand a principle or take an action. J.K. Rowling said, "Words are, in my not so humble opinion, our most inexhaustible source of magic." This means as writers, words is that tool that you can use it to do anything as far as you understand what you want to do. There's this book, The Psychology of Persuasion. It talks about how you can persuade people, use that ability in you as far as you understand what you want to persuade people with. It is good. There are some steps to take to creatively persuade your audience, your readers, your listeners, or any of them. First, you must understand who are your audience and what is the purpose of your work. Who are your audience in the sense that, are they youth? Are they adults? What are their value system? Do you think this principle you are coming up with will be acceptable with them, or they will debate it so much? The purpose of your writing, are you writing just to tell them that no, this is not true, or are you writing to make them understand that they have believed a lie all this while? Or are you writing to take them up to the extent of taking an action? You know that understanding that makes you set a degree of point of validity that you have to place. Secondly, research on solid evidences. Persuasive writing is beyond just saying this is not like this. It's beyond it. You have to have solid evidence to support your claim. This is possible when you take a strong point. Persuasive writing might be somehow close to argumentative writing, because there is this way you will persuade your readers. You are arguing with them in their minds. That is why it moves us to the third step, which is acknowledging counterpoints and refuting them. When you bring up a strong point in your persuasion, acknowledge, think about, put yourself in your reader's shoe and think, okay, what will they say in opposition to what I said? And in debate, there's this, my opponent may argue that you state that opponent point, and but it is not so, because that is how you should do as a persuasive writer. Acknowledge possible counterpoints and refute them. There are some things to avoid in persuasive writing. First is avoid overuse of confrontation or emotional manipulation. Instead of basing on strong arguments, you just use emotional. Don't you think it will be better this way, without solid points? It makes you seem manipulative and untrustworthy. Secondly, avoid being aggressive, especially when you don't have strong points. And even if you do, speak with confidence and authority, but not with aggression. When I mean speak, I mean write with. Thirdly, avoid using a weak introduction and a weak conclusion. It makes your readers assume you are not sure of your point, you are not having a strong stance on the topic. So there are some things to employ, some strategies to make your persuasive write up persuasive enough for your readers to believe, to make it amazing and creative. First, use an active tone. Use active voice instead of passive voice, and be confident and direct when speaking to your readers. Secondly, use transition words like however, more so, in addition. This helps with logical flow. It makes your argument easy to follow your point. Your readers are able to understand your movement, your change, your direction, etc. Thirdly, use persuasive language features like imperative sentences. Example, think about the benefit. Don't you think it's worth it? Rhetorical question. Will you actually be okay for it? Okay with it? All this helps to engage your readers, to make them pause and question their own point of the argument. Before we move to the next aspect, the last step here is paragraph structure. This cannot be overemphasized because your arrangement of a persuasive write-up matters. If even if you have strong points, you can arrange it wrongly that it discourage your readers and water down your message. Take for example, if your write-up doesn't, the first point is not a strong one, your introduction is so blunt, it will be discouraging at the beginning, and first impression always matters. That's why you should structure your paragraph properly. Topic sentence, supporting sentence, conclusion. Structure your write-up as introduction, the body which contains the main ideas, and the conclusion. Now we move to on writing well before we go to the next segment of the last segment of today's program. We'll look at this book on writing well by William Zinzer. It's actually an old book. It's a guide to non-fictional writing in general, as it emphasizes clarity, simplicity, and directness while writing. Some principles by William Zinzer in his book, which will be helpful for writers, creative writers now, is first, use clear and concise language. Avoid unnecessary grammars. Secondly, be direct to your readers. Speak to them directly and don't be over formal. Make your writing relatable, personal. Your writing should be like you are speaking to your readers on a personal note, and it should be accessible, engaging, and understanding that your readers can easily grab the message. Zinza sees writing as a personal transaction between the writer and the reader. In essence, a transaction is not achieved until your readers understand your message. Are we following? A transaction is not achieved until your readers understand your message, until your readers get that feeling you want to pass, get the gist that you are trying to pass. That is writing when writing is achieved. Therefore, as a writer, strive to keep your writing clear, keep your writing concise, direct. Not when you are addressing youth, you know that you are addressing youth. Your grammar should be like those that of address to the youth. This helps your youth. This helps your readers to understand the message perfectly, and it makes it in a position of a discussion rather than a presentation. Another point is a good writing begins from the mind. It begins from a clear thought. When your thoughts are logical, your writing will also be logical. Therefore, eh, keep your expression and thoughts as clear as possible. Employing methods like brainstorming, outlining will help you in that regards. Also, writers should be honest and passionate about their work. Don't just write because of the money attached, or don't just write because you want to write. Write because it's a passion in you. Write because you have a message to tell and you are listening, looking for listening ears. Use an active voice. This I've been emphasizing this active voice because there is a way active voice makes everything seem, and it makes the work exciting, it makes it look reasonable, realistic, it makes your readers follow you attentively, and always end with a strong and memorable conclusion. If you observe, for those that listen to podcast and the rest very well, if you observe, most times presenters leave their stories till the end. Most of these video presentation, you observe that it ends with a nice story that will inspire your readers. Always end strong with a memorable conclusion that will not be able to wipe out from your readers' minds easily. Who is with me? If you are up to this point and you have gained, can I see your hands up? Yes, so before we move on, I would like to hear from one or two persons. I would like to hear from you. So unmute your mic and speak.
Good evening, everyone. I want to ask, is it based on what we've learned?
Yeah, based on what we've learned so far, I would like contributions. Even if you have questions, I would like to take questions from here before we move forward.
Okay, ma. Based on what I learned from this message, one of the first message you taught, I learned show, don't tell. That is, if you are trying to pass a message, like you were someone was raped, you should use descriptions and images that will capture the mind of the readers to understand that this is what the writer is trying to portray here. And also from the second one, um I understand that as a writer we should learn to stick and to keep to our writing. We should also be clear, concise and specific. The last one I learned is that we should be honest and passionate about our work. But ma, my question is, the first book you said we should read, the memos of what? Please, I don't understand. I want to get the name of the book again.
All right, the book title is The Art of Memo by Mary K-A-R-R. All
Sorry,
right,
ma.
anyone? You said?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, please, I have a question.
All right, go on.
Yeah, you were saying something about the story or like for the memo, yes, the memo, something personal. That's my question is, should we write the story that explains the message we are trying to pass at the ending or at the beginning?
All right. It depends on what you are writing about. And as we all know, writing memos is based on writing personal experiences. For example, sometimes students, there is always this book, my first day at secondary school before, that there's always in English first process one is the first essay there. So it depends on the message you want to pass across. But it's better narrating everything based on the logic of events, how it happened. You know, you cannot say you cannot narrate your experience of SS2 before narrating that of JS3. So it's better narrating it logically the way it happened to you. Have I answered your question?
Yes, ma. You have answered. Thank you so much, ma.
All right. Anyone else before we move on? Yeah, it seems there's no one. So we'll be discussing the last segment before we take more questions, contribution, and we round up today's session. The last statement is research and fact checking in creative writing. This cannot be overemphasized because beyond writing, beyond a nice work, is an image of a writer portrayed that tomorrow, when you publish another book, people would like to read it. That is where fact checking and research comes in. It's a very big disappointment when your readers discover erroneous information in your work. Writers are like medical doctors give that should give trustworthy information that can be quoted anywhere. It will be a big disgrace, a big disappointment for your reader to be corrected somewhere after quoting you wrongly while you made a wrong quote in your book. That's why we, as creative writers, we must emphasize research and fact checking because it is the mark of credibility in writers. What is research? Research involves collecting reliable information that support your narrative. Persuasive writing, non-fictional in general. You know, non-fictional writing, there is biography, autobiography, memos, there is brand promotion, all these other aspects of writing, generally in non-fictional writing. But all these aspects need reliable information that comes with your research. To have a quality research publication in your book, there are some steps you must take. First, you must understand the purpose of your research in your work. Take for example, if you are writing a biography, you must prove every information because your writing now is a publication of someone's life. But if you are just writing a motivational book that is non-fictional, maybe about someone's life, it's more of that person's life is just a narrative to motivate people. It will be seldom quoted somewhere. Understanding that purpose means you know the degree of purity or degree of perfection your research has to attain. Secondly, look across multiple sources after collecting your information. And where do you collect this information? From reliable sources like official statistics, books by experts, journals and publication by government agencies and the rest. That is where you get reliable information, and you cross check them in various sources to prove that there are no bias, old informations or outdated informations in your work. If possible, use primary sources rather than secondary sources if possible. Now, fact checking now is verifying the accuracy of every piece of information before publication. Research is gathering the informations and cloning it with your work. Fact checking involves even after your work, prove that these informations are true before sending it to your readers. The journalistic principle said a writer owes his readers, the truth. This truth is born out of verified facts and not assumptions, not hearsay. Careful research. Fact checking, there are some techniques involved. First, double checking across multiple sources. Double checking quotes, figures, dates, and other vital information contained in your work. Secondly, cross referencing. Cross referencing, that means checking your information, cross checking them from two reputable sources if they are actually the same. Then there are fact checking websites. Yeah, this is, I wanted mentioning this. Fact checking websites like Snoops, Polyfact, factcheck.org, AfriCheck, different website that verifies these facts for you before you can publish them. And lastly, clarify possible assumptions in your reader's mind. Separate opinions from facts so that your readers know where when you are actually just saying, in my candid opinion, and it is a fact that exists that this is like this. What are now the importance of all these efforts and repetitions in writing, in non-fictional writing? First, it maintains accuracy. As we all know, non-fictional writing are based on real life events, experiences, and facts. Therefore, misinformation could lead to confusion and spread of false news. Secondly, it serves as a mark of credibility in writers. When your readers observe that your work is always accurate, it builds a sense of trust, confidence, and prestige in your readers' mind about you. Also, it is necessary to avoid legal and ethical issues. When writing or publishing information about brands, about companies, about people, it's important to verify information in order to prevent legal and ethical issues of misquote or misleading your readers. Also, it helps to support your arguments and points in persuasive writing. As we all know, persuasive writing are the backbone of persuasive writing is fact born out of research. Lastly, it is a show of professionalism. Accuracy in your work shows your diligence, commitment to your career as a creative writer, and that is what makes you stand out among others. Therefore, always work to perfect your writing. This is where we draw the curtain from today's session, but for the benefit of those that came later on, we talked about personal essays and memos, persuasive writing, and research and fact checking under non-fictional writing as creative writers. It's nice having got to this point, and I would like to hear contributions and